My name is Jeremy Morgan. I'm currently a committee member of Mountain Ash Rugby Club. I've been involved with the club virtually since I can remember. I was brought up in the street near our old ground and we used to go over and play there. And it's just been part of my life forever, really. We would go over there as virtually as from very young children and just play in there outside. At the time, we didn't have junior rugby like there is now, but we sort of played ad hoc rugby at school at Our Ladies, and generally we just threw the ball around as boys. During one game, I had a bump, and essentially what happened, I had a vitreous hemorrhage in my eye, which left my left eye blind, and I also had dozens of operations. So my playing career finished quite early. That part of my time finished. What I became then was just a supporter. It's always been important to me, the family element as well. Going back to just after the Second World War, my uncle was one of the prime movers in getting the rugby club reset up again, because after 6 years without rugby, the infrastructure wasn't there. There was, great austerity at the time. It was difficult to even get rugby jerseys, let alone rugby boots and things like this. And they had lots of charity matches, and he was involved. Another uncle could remember going up to the ground in the 1930s on his father's shoulders. Going back even further, a great-grandfather of mine was involved before the First World War, only as a supporter and helping out. So, it's a very long continuity with my family. I was at the ground this Saturday, and there were 4 cousins, 2 second cousins, numerous children who I don't even know from other second cousins. So there's that family side of it as well. Regarding the community side of it, I think this is an important thing about Welsh rugby and clubs. A lot of the boys I played rugby with are still involved with the clubs, they still live locally. Some of these boys I've known for 40 years now, and I still see them, still have a chat. So that's the sort of core element of where my enjoyment lies. In a town like Mountain Ash, where there isn't a lot of things now, going back 50 years ago, there were 2 pits. There's a large smokeless coal plant. There was a lot going on, and it was the sort of occupation where community was important, and where you have that sort of link through hard work. As that died, there were less and less things that bound the community together. And except for the church, Mountain Ash Rugby Club is now probably the oldest institution in the town, and so it has an important role in that regard. Though I doubt if many people think of it like that, but we've got our 150th anniversary next year. It is a long continuity, and it's all through people who give their time voluntarily. One of the things about rugby in South Wales is the clubs are, particularly in the valleys, very close to each other. So Abercynon is 4 miles away down the valley, Aberdare is 4 miles up the valley, Abercwmboi is 2 miles up the valley, and those sorts of and I think conflicts isn't too hard a word, as things that drive a community feeling within. But I know a lot of people don't like that because they feel there shouldn't be that. But it actually, if anyone has ever attended a Mountain Ash Abercynon, there's a bit of needle in the game. That sort of proximity breeds sort of rivalry, but it also gives is a real sense of community and belonging. I think rugby clubs are absolutely core to how a lot of, particularly valleys communities, see themselves. And you will often hear, you go into the local shops or the local pubs, the talk will be about rugby a lot of the time, not all of the time. And rather than footballs, you might see boys kicking and throwing a rugby ball about in the streets, and that still happens. And that's not a romanticised view of it, that's what you will see. It is like a religion in that it's spread from generation to generation, it's spread through your own social groups. I mean, I had an elderly chap who lived next door to me. Never played rugby in his life, except he might have played a little bit in school. But every Saturday when I'd be going off to the game, he'd say, "Oh, what have we got today then?" And he would always say, "Who have we got today?" And that's very because I can't remember ever going to a game or doing anything to do with rugby, but he associated with it. And I think that's how they do, that sort of conversation does go on. But when Mount played Connecticut, the interest locally was huge. The MP was involved, the council leader was involved. It was a huge thing and a huge kudos because the national press covered it. I think it was Sunday Times was there, and I got the cut in some way. It said something like, we came to the alpine splendours of the Mountain Ash ground because, of course, there's all hills of forestry behind. And that was quite amusing. And of course, that certainly gives a community like Mountain Ash pride that it can attract that sort of attention. Because otherwise, the only attention a community like this gets is bad attention for bad things happening. It also sort of spreads the word around because I think a lot of places in Wales are only known for their rugby. They wouldn't be known for something other than rugby. I think it's essential to these communities because there's nothing else here to give them that pride, because everything else has been stripped out.